6.1 present here. Let us see some introduction about Python. So whenever you take any language, you have something called as variables. So what is mean by a variable? The memory location, what we have will be given by address. Say for example, we are all residing in at home and we have an home address which we name for any correspondence, right? So the same way the memory location will be having a address, and keep remembering the address is very tough. So we name that with a using some characters. So this is what we call it as variables. So names given to the values used in the program. So we use lot of values which is stored in the memory, and for that we need a name. That is what we call it as a variable. And there are certain rules for having a variable. So we will see one by one. The first rule is that it should be always starting with an alphabet. So no variable name can start with numbers or any other special characters. And the second, from the second character, we can have it as either alphabet or number. And especially with the Python, we'll be having it as case sensitive. That is, having a variable name in a capital letter and small letter is different. And it when you just have any variable which starting with underscore, it is private. That is mostly the system oriented variables which we use it for uh, keep managing the system oriented. Say for example, something which is related to operating system. So those things we will start with underscore, and we can also have underscore in between. So these are some of the things we have it with variables. Now let us move on to the data types. What is data types? So whenever I'm having a memory location and I'm naming it, that is what we call it as a variable. But what type of value I'm storing it? So that will tell you, that will be called as a data type. So the data types which you have it with Python, there are primitive data types and also some composite data types. So some of the basic data types we have it as numbers, that is integer or float, and then we have string, boolean, complex, list, tuple, and dictionary. So when I go for the number, it can be an integer, so which doesn't have any special there's any decimal values. And then when I go for float, which will have decimal value in it, the number which is having the decimal value in it. And then we have string. So whenever I go for string, it can be in Python, we can have it as within single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. So we can just have a double quote and then a single quote, that is called as a triple quote. And then boolean can have values with true or false. Complex values, which is having the real part and the imaginary part. So say when I represent like 1 plus 3i, so that is what we call it as complex values. In Python, complex values will be having, instead of I, we have it as j. So if I have a complex number, it is represented as 3 plus 2j. Then list, when I go for list will be having multiple values in it. Say when you have arrays in Java, C or C++, the same way, the list will be having multiple values. But the difference with that and the array is, array will hold simple single data type values, but a list can have heterogeneous type of values. And when I go for tuple, it can also hold multiple values. But what is the difference between list and tuple? List, I can change a value in but in a particular index. But in tuple, once I have the values, I cannot change the values. That is what the difference between list and tuple. Dictionary, it is like a map, that is I'll be having a key value pair. So you will not have index values, you can have store multiple values, but each value will have a key. So we can identify the value using that key only. So that is what the dictionary data type. And when you want to work with Python, you will be having this shell prompt where you can work on it. And one more thing we have to remember on this Python is that it is going to have an interpreter. So in the shell prompt, you can just directly type a command and view the result of it. So there is something called as name, a variable. So I'm having an expression here. So this expression, I'm having 2 plus 3 into 4. So what will happen? It will be each operator is having precedence, and this 3 star 4 will be first computed, and then you'll be adding 2. So that is why the value is becoming 14. And I'm having a variable name which is having a string value which is included in double quotes. So when I try to print, give only the name, it will print the string. And the print is also a command which is available in Python, which is used for printing the string and also the variables where I have the values in it. So as I already told you, Python is having the interpreter, so it is will be computing line by line. And these are some of the features that I'm having. So instead of indentation, so basically when we go for having, when we are having when we are having the details of the thing to be typed, it has to be indented. So there is no curly braces in Python. So when you want to have a block of statements within a particular function or within a particular for loop or something like that, we follow indentation. So no blocks, blocks are just being represented by the indentation only. And there are some sequence types, like you can store list of characters using strings, list of all values using list, and I also told you it can be changeable. That is what you call it as, technically called as mutable. Tuples we have which is immutable, which is we cannot change the values. And what is mean by this slicing? When we have a particular list of values, we can take a part of that using this. That concept is called as slicing. Say for example, I'm having list of 5 values. I can take the second to fifth value and have it as another list. So that is called as slicing. That is a feature available with Python. And we can have separately the modules, each functionalities as a separate module, and we can use it in multiple programs. So that is called as this. That is what is being given. Functions are independent entities. And then we are having exception handling. What is mean by exception? The error that we expect. So whenever you expect any error, you can just handle it. Say for example, divide by 0 exception, and then number format exception. When we are expecting a number and we are not getting that number, we are getting some other data type, it is number format. So we can have these type of exceptions, we can handle it so that our program will work smoothly without any hurdles. And then it is can have objects on it. So as we having C++ and Java, we can have the class concept, we can have object, inheritance, all those things. We can even have some concept, some object oriented concepts even in Python. And it has iterators and generators. So now we will see how to have a string. So as I already specified, you can just have a single quotes, or we can have a double quotes or a triple quotes. which means that is this is what you call it a single triple quotes, which will also have it for having. Then this one is for having a comment sort of thing, we'll be using it. And this one is for representing the string. So we can have any type of this one, you can just follow. And next we'll see how to give the input. So whenever I'm going to give input to the from the user, get from the user, I need to use this input, and always it gets as a string. So when you want to convert it, into uh, s- other data types, you use these functions. So int, float, boolean, complex, so all these things. So to convert a string to integer, you use this int of. Okay, so you have to give here int of input of that message what you want to display. So what will happen, it will display that message and it will get the input, and then it converts that into an integer. Then float to convert into boolean. So whenever I am giving do you want to continue, true or false, so like that if you have, so you want to convert into boolean, then I can give for this one boolean. And then complex, if I get the number, complex number I want to convert, I can use it off. And how to print, as I already specified to you, how to print a output thing using a statement called as print, function called as print. And using this one message, using this one, you can print a string or you can print a value which is there. And defaultly it has the end character as slash n, that means it goes to the next line. So whenever I give a print, it takes the end character as a new line, and it will print the next print message in the next line. But you do want to print in the same line, then you can give this separator as some other thing, so that what will happen is the end statement, if I give a space, so what will happen, the next print statement will be printing on the same line. So you can use this end. So this feature is available in Python, which makes you not to print. Say a good example of this one is, we all know that in Java we have print and println. Print will be printing in the same line, and println will be going to the next line defaultly. So the same way, if I am not specifying, defaultly it takes to the next line. And if I specify other than a slash n, if I give a space, then it will be taking that as the uh, n thing. So it will be printing on the same line. Now, so we have learned how, what is the data type, and then what is the variable, and how can we assign, how can we get the input, how can we print the output. We have all seen that. So we now go for assigning the values. So multiple variables can have the same values. So or multiple variables can have different like values. So that was also, say you can see here an example, a equal to b equal to c equal to 100. That means a will also hold 100, b will also hold 100, and c will also hold 100. And when I go for the next statement, x comma y comma z is equal to 1000 comma 2000 comma high. So what will happen here, x will have 1000, y will have 2000, and z will have high. So using the first one is also possible, that is having a single value assigned to multiple variables, or multiple variables assigned to multiple values assigned to multiple variables, that is also possible. So this both are possible. Now next we'll see about what is mean by a comment. So what is the use of purpose of comment? When we are developing, we want to give some information to the developer so that he can understand what is that. Say in a real-time project scenario and all, if a person is developing a project and he in the middle of that project he has just left the company, then if another employee has been assigned the same project, he will doesn't know what the previous employer has done it. So to have a better understanding on the code, these developers will be using this comment one, which tells the purpose of that particular function, or a particular module, or a particular statement you want to have the purpose specified. You can use this comment. And in Python we can use hash to go for a giving the this one. So that hash can be used for a single line comment, and when we are having multiple lines, then you can just go for triple quotes. I told you, no, triple quotes, that also you can use it off, and the interpreter will not execute these lines, that is to be known. And as I already specified, we doesn't have any blocks of indentation, and you can just have the in the blocks, as the curly braces is not there, you can just go for having the uh, having the indentation only follow. Okay, so these are some of the things we have seen today. So if you have any queries, you can mail me to this mail ID. Thank you.